Also, there's going to be a fermentation that happens when those food molecules are not broken down all the way, and that can create bacterial overgrowth. And we know hydrochloric acid does have a way of being a disinfectant in a way. It really decreases bacteria and yeast load in the intestines. And if we have low levels of acid, it's kind of like missing the natural disinfectant on your table, right? That, that can help clean things up in your body. So that's definitely a real thing there. And the other component I would say is being, because we're kind of talking about the holidays and Christmas, is it can get very dry in the wintertime in a lot of places in this country. And so having a really clean moisturizer can be helpful. Now it depends. So if we're just talking about, person with dry skin, we may just choose a really, really good clean shea butter or coconut oil, or just a really clean moisturizing product from a high quality company. And you can use Skin Deep Cosmetic Database, Environmental Working Group Database to look at healthy skin products that have really good ingredients in there. I like to use the Marie Veronique products. I like their lipid barrier complex and their barrier restore serum. They work amazing. I use that on my skin. And I had one child that had eczema. He's kind of gotten over it. He's done really well. We've kind of cleaned out his diet and his mom's diet too. So things like salicylates could be a potential problem outside of just your autoimmune foods. And then we used a really clean hypoallergenic moisturizer called Vanapply. Again, it's not anything like nutritious for the skin, but sometimes when the skin's inflamed immunologically from an autoimmune skin issue, sometimes the skin just needs moisture and not things that could potentially stimulate the immune system. So sometimes a clean thing like that can be very helpful. So Vanapply is very good. There's another product called Le Pochet. I'll have to pull it up. It's a French brand of a moisturizer, and that works very good as well as providing just really good moisture. And then sometimes we may have to change the environment. Sometimes it gets very, very dry, low 20% in humidity. We may have to add a humidifier into the kids' room or into the adult's room to get a little bit more humidity in the room. The big X factor is don't just leave it on nonstop, because you can actually create mold with a humidifier if it's unchecked, uncharted. So you have to make sure that if you're adding humidity to the room, it's for a season, it's for a reason, it's for a short period of time. And you may want to have a humidity detector in the room just to make sure you don't get above, 50% where mold could grow.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? I've never seen it. Maybe it exists. It'd be cool to have a humidifier that actually has a hygrometer built in. So like you could set your 40% and then you're pumping humidity in and then it hits 40 and shuts off. That'd be super cool.
I 100% agree. Yep.
Yeah, so I think the Xlear would be good too for just to implement. This is a tangent, not related to skin, but the xylitol spray for the sinuses is awesome too, because that can help moisturize it. And the Xlear is kind of a good natural antimicrobial, if you will. It can help a little bit with the sinus cavity. But yeah, back to the skin. So how we're going to investigate this with people is we're going to start with diet. We're going to come in and say, probably remove the eggs, definitely get off the dairy, get off the gluten. And then we're going to come in and do stool testing. We're going to do urine organic acid so we can look at all the different bacteria that may not show up. You see, sometimes what happens, I had it happen last week. We had a guy who on the organic acids, he looked pretty good. There wasn't any kind of bacterial overgrowth evidence. But when we got to his stool test, he had Prevotella and Klebsiella and all sorts of bacteria off the chart. And so if someone's on an extreme budget, maybe one test would be sufficient. But in most cases, we're going to try to get the full picture, because it's hard to make a puzzle complete if you don't have all the pieces. And so that's really why we're going to want to look at multiple things. And then, as you mentioned, environment, we're going to factor that into, and then potentially improving the indoor air quality. So what if you are having some sort of an allergic reaction to your environment, whether it's mold or dander or pollen or whatever? Something like a really good charcoal filled air filter is going to be a game changer. Possibly putting charcoal in your body, supplementing with binders, and then addressing any infections we see, supporting the liver, bumping up omegas. I think stress has a factor. We talked about hormones. We talked about the estrogen. We talked about glucuronidation. I think those are really the main variables. Do you think we're missing anything else?
No, I think we hit it pretty well. My only other component is if you have eczema or psoriasis and your skin's overly dry and you're trying to get the dryness down while you're fixing the root issue. I mentioned the Vanapply Vanacream product being good. And the other one was the La Roche-Posay, and it's the Lipicar Balm is a nice one. It's just a lot of moisture, which can decrease a lot of the dryness. And then when the dryness is decreased, that decreases the itching. And when the itching is decreased, that can help decrease a lot of the inflammation. But you have to make sure, a lot of people in the eczema, psoriasis kind of Facebook groups, because I follow a lot of them just to read what they're doing, they want a magic solution. They want just something to rub on their skin and have it all go away. But that's never how it is. So you typically have to get to the underlying issue with foods and gut stuff too. So make sure if you do something that's a lotion, that's topical, make sure you're not ignoring the internal stuff.
Well, that one sounds so fancy. It's got to be good just based on the way you pronounce the name of it.
I know, like a nice little long French name there. We'll put the Amazon links in the description so you guys can access it. And then you mentioned the other one that had the oatmeal in there that was really clean. What was the product?
Yeah, I'll give you the link to it. It's like there's like a kid's like fragrance-free version. It's like a colloidal oatmeal product.
It began with a B, right?
Yeah, it's Babo. Yeah, Let me look. I've got it here. It was like colloidal oatmeal lotion. Man, this stuff is awesome. I tell you, my wife's like, honey, look at her skin. And I was feeling these areas on our little girl's skin. I'm like, man, it's crazy. And yeah, here it is. $9, can't beat it. So it's called Babo Sensitive Hydra Lotion, chamomile, calendula, and then like I said, it's got the colloidal oatmeal. I'll put you the link in the. I'll put it in your chat here if you want to look at it. And
is there any worries at all with that due to gluten sensitivity in the oats?
I don't think so. We haven't seen any type of issue. I know there's a possibility. You've got that Avena sativa kernel flour, so it does have the oat flour in there. I mean, if I thought there was some autoimmune possibility, we may stay away with it, but it's a pretty rare situation. I've only seen a few people where we thought that they were going to be sensitive enough to it, that we should pull it out or find something without oats. I'm not doing like oatmeal baths or anything like that. This is just like the spot of maybe a quarter at most on the areas. And that's like maybe once a day, if that.
And you're just using it kind of here and there to kind of knock it down. It's not like a staple.
No. We're not lathering her in it or anything. It's just like a spot treat is all we're using it for. I know some people get crazy with lotion. They're lathering the whole thing. No, I think I'd probably stay away in that case, but for spot treats, probably okay.
That's smart. Excellent, man. So I think we hit a lot of the good skin stuff today. We talked about some of the hormone stuff with female hormones. We talked about some of the androgen component and how that can tie into insulin. Don't forget, guys, high levels of insulin can drive excess estrogens in guys, and that can cause other issues too and put stress on the liver. We talked about some mold stuff. We talked about allergen issues, food allergen stuff, and some of the eye stuff. We talked about the humidity issues in the winter where it gets drier. Maybe get a humidifier, really monitor the percent humidity. If you can get one that has a gauge that tests the environment, and let's say it doesn't go above 40% or 35%, that's better, because that way you kind of have a limiter on there. It doesn't go over the top. We at one point had the humidifier on too much. This was years ago, and we noticed a little bit of mold in the carpet nearby, and we never made that mistake again. So if you use a humidifier, like put a timer on it, like an hour or two, boom, have it go off. Don't leave it on all the time. Be smart about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you think about a humidifier, right? Typically, people are going to just sit it on like a wood nightstand or something, and then that wood is probably just absorbing all that moisture. It sounds like a recipe for disaster if you overuse it, for sure.
Exactly. So you maybe like if your kid has some humidity issues, skin issues, maybe put it on for an hour or two at night. Put a timer on it. Done. Yeah. And that way, it's not going to go the whole night, but it will provide a little bit of relief and help the mucous membranes that may be a little bit overly dry.
And then also, don't overbathe, don't with your soaps, your shampoos, your conditioners, make sure everything's clean there. Don't over soap yourself. I mean, you don't need to lather your whole body in soap. I think that's an easy one. Regarding hand soaps, I mean, I know a lot of the conventional ones are going to dry out hands and skin. So we got to mention that. Also, water filters are key. That's why you and I both have whole house water filters, because the chlorine and the trihalomethanes and all the irritants in the tap water can irritate your skin in the shower.
That's a big one. Yeah. So if you have a lot of chlorine and a lot of chemicals in the water, that can be very irritating on your skin. So we really want to make sure that is addressed with a high quality filter, and that will take stress off your skin a ton. Really will.
I even travel with it. I even bring like the Berkey or a comparable shower filter. Like when we went to Florida last winter, I brought a portable shower filter with us. Man, it was a game changer because, we wanted to fill up the bathtub for the kids because the chlorine was so strong. So luckily we just filled the tub with the shower head filter, and it was awesome. So we didn't irritate the kids, and they weren't just breathing in chlorine.
That's good. That's really good. And the only other thing I would just say beyond that is just making sure you're digesting in your fats and proteins well. So people think, oh, I'm going to just drink a whole bunch of water. That'll get moisture to my skin. It's like, well, you need a good fat carrier to bring that hydration to the skin. A lot of times the skin and you know, that layer, there's a hydrophobic layer in the skin. So it does not like water. So you need fat to kind of bring that moisture to that skin. So if you don't have enough fat, you will get very dry skin, and dry skin can get more irritated, and you tend to scratch that dry skin more. And then that scratching creates inflammation, and then inflammation it's a kind of a self-defeating cycle. So you really want to make sure you have good, healthy fats in there. And at least half those fats should be saturated fats, coconut oil. It should be high quality grass-fed animal products. It should be pork fat, lard. And if you want to do any plant fats, keep it to high quality olive oil, avocado oil, maybe some palm. Obviously, coconut's going to be a great fat because it's saturated and it's plant. So those are a couple of good things to do just to make sure you have good fats. And of course, if we don't have good digestion, you know, at least get in some enzymes and some HCl in the meantime while you work on fixing your stress or fixing your gut in the meantime for better absorption and digestion.
Yeah, the way I look at it, it's rarely going to be just a skin issue. There's going to be possibly bloating, gas, burping, some type of food sensitivities, food reactions, right? Skin issues are rarely going to occur in isolation. So I think of it as a clue, right? You and I talk about clues in functional medicine. The skin is really just a clue. And then we think, oh, interesting, what's going on under the hood? So that's where we come in and do the testing. And if you need help clinically, please reach out. We would love to help. We work with people worldwide via phone, FaceTime, Skype, etc. We're very blessed to be able to provide lab testing to people across the globe and to provide solutions to healthcare that other practitioners and doctors have failed before. So if you need to reach out clinically, you can reach Dr. J at justinhealth.com. You can reach me, Evan Brand, at evanbrand.com. And so let's have some fun. Give us some comments, some questions. If you're on watching, listening on Dr. J's YouTube channel, put some potential topic ideas in there. We're always open to new topics. We talk about stuff we think is important, but if you have some issues or concerns, you know, we're happy to do kind of like some Q&A stuff too. So please give us some feedback.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to reach out and dive in deeper, it could be a gut issue, it could be a hormone issue, evanbrand.com for Evan, justinhealth.com for myself. We are here to help worldwide.